Hey everybody, welcome back to Sergeant's Talk TV. I'm Big Mike.
Normal size, Jason.
Yeah, guys, it has been a busy week.
Oh yeah,
Busy week.
busy for you even.
Yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
I tried to warn him about everything else, guys. Forgot to be
I
like, hey,
I got it off now.
but consistency is key. We always know it's going to happen, so it's good
It's
to get.
gonna,
Yeah,
you know, everybody tunes in to see if I screw it up or not. But yeah, Terry's back from the hospital. She's in on the bed. She's playing video games and talking on the cell phone and doing all that. Everything went fine with her. Everything came back benign. And doctor, he's a good doctor. And so yeah, she's good. She's back. She's very very sore. She's on some good drugs, and she installed the Bell app on her phone. And so when she needs me, she'll hit that and I can hear it. And I have to march in there and get my marching orders from her. But she put it on her phone and then it started ringing and she couldn't shut it off. So she uninstalled it and went to a different one. So who knows? But anyway, Big Mike's going to take care of his sergeant major, and I'm glad everything. And for all the people that gave prayers to Terry, thank you very much. But you guys had a busy weekend with the birthday week.
we did. It turned out to be a little bigger than we thought. We just say a couple people coming over, and yeah, one thing led to another. Had a still a small crowd, but yeah, we had visitors come midweek. Laura and Ollie at Sold on RV Life, they were on their way heading to Nebraska. He said, hey, we're coming out of Texas, going to head to Nebraska. We want to come visit. So they came for a couple, 3 days. And then David had come on, and well, he's surprised. For anybody who went and watched that video that came out today, he's surprised her. He originally wasn't going to make it, but he thumbed a ride with Danielle and made it over here. And they were hanging out. And then, of course, Ryan and Jess, they're local for us. They came. Eric and Missy came. And yeah, I think that was it. But it was from Wednesday to Sunday, it was like a revolving door at the end of my driveway of who was coming in, who was coming to visit.
Right.
Great to hang out. Had a great weekend. Got to celebrate Tara's birthday. So, another trip around the sun. That was always fun. And test out the old summer kitchen a little bit. See if
Yeah. David said something about it. He goes, I need one of those at his place, he said.
Yeah. Oh, he was checking it out. I was watching him, and he's like figuring and calculating dimensions in his head and looking at the layout. I mean, it's great. It's a great spot. For our land, and you've been here, right? There's no flat ground. So to be up and have that deck platform that gives you flat level ground to stand on and sit on and that kind of stuff, and you're up out of the mud. And plus then having, now it's not fully operational yet. The big stove isn't hooked up, which that's probably coming out. And anybody who watched David's, more than likely that's going to end up at Come On Mountain.
What is?
The big stove.
The big stove,
yeah. Stove, yeah. Our original design plan with it was not to, we planned size-wise to have a normal size kitchen stove in it. And so when we found that for a deal, we couldn't turn it down.
Right.
It takes up too much room. We need a little bit more counter space over there. So, but other than that, it worked great. The ice maker was out there. We got that commercial ice maker, and everybody had ice for drinks and stuff like that. And we took our electric cooler, instead of putting a mini fridge out there, we got that electric cooler. So we put that out there and had cold snacks in it, and big countertops, prepped food. Everyone could just go up there and kind of buffet style. It was awesome.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, that ice maker, if you ever had like a margarita weekend, Yeah, you'd have enough ice for a big party.
Oh yeah, that thing just pumps it out.
Yeah.
We used it, right? That was honestly the first big bulk movement or bulk time that we used it was when you were over here and we butchered the goats
Yeah.
and put them on ice, and then we got to eat the first batch. She made a homemade all from scratch lasagna and used some of that ground goat in it
Yeah.
this weekend, and um, yeah, was delicious. So,
Yeah.
and then we've got the
Oh,
two ninja food mixer things out there. So it's like, hey, make a margaritas. I don't drink them, but
yeah.
get everybody over there. You want your margaritas? We got you
Once you
covered.
start drinking them, you get hooked on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I stick with the cold snacks because the other stuff doesn't do me so well. So,
Yeah.
um,
But guys, we're glad you're here. We did pin at the top if you want to come up and talk with us. We'd really love to hear from you. But we're going to be talking a little bit about some stuff that went on during Desert Storm and what was the other one? Iraqi Freedom.
Iraqi freedom, yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that. But before we do that, let's say hello to everybody in the chat that took their time to come see us, and I appreciate that. Merns Pacquiao came in here, RD Vlogs. They all came in the morning. Our time, it was evening their time, so they may show back up. Adriana Therese TV, Snow Baby Bear, Shane Razes came in, Girly Sienna, Miss Nay, Leela and Layla. Glad to see you, Abby G. And there's our friend Tamara at Heartland headquarters with Dink and Tank. All right.
Absolutely. Got Rebecca Touched by Yarn coming in saying hello to everybody. And there's our battle buddy Philip Ryder representing the Seabees.
There's our favorite female Marine, Dawn, over at our flippin' farmstead. Glad you're here.
And there's Judy Herman.
Yeah.
Every week. Love seeing Judy in here.
Yes. And there's our favorite MP.
That's
there
awesome.
she is. Denise McDonald. Welcome in.
Always keeping us in line. There's neighbor over at Veterans Land and Ricky Smith.
There's Donna over at Road Trips Life and Redox. Let's see. Hey.
There he is, Ralph Webb's Web. We did a members only live just earlier tonight and was actually talking about Ralph and saying, hey, you need to go check him out. He keeps that tracker for all the YouTube events and meetups and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. There's Ray Castile. Welcome in.
You in here, sir. There's Debbie Drock.
Welcome in, Debbie. There's Bobby over at Petty Jean River Homestead.
And there's his bride, Barbara. Always Ray and Barbara love the fact that y'all both come in and support us.
I watched the video. The kitchen looks great. Happy birthday, Tara, from Denise McDonald.
Thank you. Absolutely. She went over to the house. So
yeah,
I will pass that on.
Angie, our favorite female VA nurse.
Absolutely. Best one at the VA.
That's right. She got 6 more years. And she'll be doing what Tony's doing. Or at least telling him what he needs to be doing.
Right. Keeping him a little more in line, getting him, hey, quit sitting around, get out there and get some work done.
That's right.
There's Joseph. Welcome in, Joseph.
Welcome in. Hey, guys, the next week is Veterans Day. And going along with Veterans Day, One of the things I wanted to tell you about is the Veterans Day free meals for Veterans Day. You can find that at another Broken Egg Cafe. Don't know where that one's at. But another Broken Egg Cafe is inviting veterans, active duty, and retired military personnel to enjoy a complimentary parrot French toast topped with strawberries, blueberries, and whipped cream, paired with Barista House blend coffee on November 11th for dine-in guests presenting a valid military ID. All right. Applebee's veterans and active duty military receive a free meal from their select menu on November 11th at participating locations, dine-in only. There's a restaurant called Beef O'Brady. Beef O'Brady's on November 11th at participating location. Veterans, active duty military can receive a free burger and fries. Not valid with any other discount promotions, though. A restaurant called Biscuit Belly. Bet you that'd be a good restaurant, huh? Veterans on November 11th, choice of bacon and eggs, cheese and sausage, egg and cheese, or chicken biscuits, sandwiches, and hot dripped coffee or fountain drink. BJ's Restaurants and Brew House, you can, with the valid ID, free chocolate chunk Pazookies, and from November 12th through December 31st, veterans with a valid military ID who dine in and purchase an entree will receive a free appetizer, bounce back to enjoy on the future visits. That's what it says. All right, I know this one, Bob Evans. Have you ever seen Bob Evans? Active duty military and veterans get a free meal from a select menu on November 11th. Bombshell Restaurants and Bar, you can get locations in Texas and Colorado. You will get 20% discount on all menu and alcoholic beverages. Okay, 20% off. Bass Tap. Let's see. Can receive a free burger and fries with that. Boogers Bagels or Bugers Bagels. You can receive free hot or iced coffee any size on November 11th. Carolina Ale House, get a free half rack of ribs platter with your visit, but you got to show your ID card. And they are in North Carolina, Florida, and Tennessee. Chili's, active duty members get a free meal on November 11th at all participating restaurants. Circle K, you know what Circle K is, right?
The gas stations.
Yeah. Veterans get a free medium hot or iced coffee. This is one day only offer and is available at all participating U.S. locations because Circle K is now overseas. I've seen the Circle K in Korea.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The Cotton Patch Cafe, active duty military, will get free regular chicken fried steak or chicken fried chicken entrees at the Cotton Patch. Cracker Barrel. Veterans and active duty service members with valid ID will get a sunrise pancake special for free. Denny's is on there. Received the free original Grand Slam on November 11th. Einstein Brothers Coffees and Bagels. You can get a free hot or iced coffee any size. Of course, I'm going to get the large or the whatever the biggest
Right.
one they call it. Famous Dave's free Georgia chopped pork sandwich for lunch on November 11th. Firehouse Subs, active duty military personnel and veterans can enjoy any size sub and receive a second sub for free. Freddy's frozen custard and steak burgers. You can receive a free Freddy's combo meal at any participating location. Golden Corral. I love Golden Corral, guys.
They're getting thinned out. You don't see them as much anymore. But
Yeah.
oh yeah, that was one of my favorite places.
From 4 p.m. till closing on November 11th is Military Appreciation Night. This includes a free thank you meal when dining in. Let me see. In-N-Out Burger. Veterans, active duty military reserves, and National Guard receive complimentary meal, including any burger, fries, and beverage on the In-N-Out Burger menu. Olive Garden. Veterans and active duty and everybody who dines in get a free entree from the special menu. Simply show your proof of military service. Outback Steakhouse. Get a free 3-course meal with valid ID card. Let's see. A lot of these. Oh, Red Robin. Red Robin.
Yum.
Active duty military and their guests and veterans can enjoy complimentary Red's Big Tavern Burger and bottomless sides of fries on November 11th. Shoney's. You don't see a lot of Shoney's no more.
No, those are pretty rare.
Yeah, veterans and active duty military can get the best breakfast in town, freshly prepared legendary breakfast bar for free at your local Shoney's. Sizzler. They closed in Missouri. They closed all the Sizzlers. I like Sizzler. Free lunch to any active duty military and veteran until 4 p.m. Starbucks honoring those who served with a free tall 12-ounce brewed coffee. So you save like what, $7?
Right.
Oh man, you remember Village Inns?
The restaurant, yeah.
Yeah. They're giving away a free 2-2-2 breakfast. 2 eggs, any style, 2 bacons or sausage, and 2 pancakes to any veteran and active duty military. White Castles, free individual combo meal or a breakfast combo meal on November 11th. All right. And then there's a bunch of local ones. So guys, if you want to find out and get a full list of everything for Veterans Day, for meals, for discounts at all the stores and all that, go to military.com. Okay. Go to military.com on Google and you can search for Veterans Day discounts, meals, and it will pop up and you can get a whole list because some of these restaurants aren't around where you live. So check it out.
Right.
Tell a veteran, if you're a veteran, go get you a free meal. And if you've got a lot of these restaurants, you can hop around and stuff yourself stupid. How's that?
Right.
I wanted to put that out before we got started because Veterans Day is coming up on November 11th. So please, and my granddaughter, who lives up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Alice, she contacted me and said, Grandpa, we're doing a Veterans Day um, thing. Each kid has to do a collage, and I'm the only military. And her other grandpa served in the military. He was in the Air Force, and so she wanted pictures and information about my service and all. I sent all that to her, and she's doing that for her school for Veterans Day. So I'm glad their school's still looking after the veterans, and proud that for those who served.
Yeah,
So,
I know there's a local one. We had seen some flyers and stuff that came out that on Facebook, but then we seen them at the VFW too here in town. That yeah, they're one of the local schools is doing a big Veterans Day lunch um, get together, and kind of you can bring some of your memorabilia with you and be able to talk to all the kids and stuff throughout the day. Um, so still pretty cool, but yeah,
I don't care if you're homeless or not. You should not go hungry on Veterans Day.
right. And of course, Jamie, Jesse over at Three Little Goats, veterans, so they're coming in.
Yep.
Awesome. They're making some huge progress over there. They're getting their home built finally.
All right.
Been watching / stalking them on Facebook and watching all their progress and stuff. So that's pretty good. But they got, I don't know how much she's put out on her YouTube yet. So, yep, Jesse throwing that link out there at themilitary.com. There's all kinds of stuff, guys. Go on there. And then also, when you go into a place on Tuesday, just ask, because there's a lot of local business stuff that won't be on one of these big major lists.
Yeah.
You might get a little extra discount and stuff like that. We all know we could hold an extra $1 or $2 in our pocket.
Yeah. You get an additional 10% off at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Jesse says it's the way the military wives get the afternoon off, because they can just take their husband to the restaurant and not do dishes.
Hey, at Great Clips, veterans and active duty members can go into any U.S. Great Clip salon and get a free haircut. Okay? Get you a free haircut if you need one. Kohl's department stores giving veterans 30% off.
Well, and of course, we can't go without talking about, we got Tuesday's Veterans Day, but Monday, especially for me and all my brothers and sisters out there, is really, really important, because Monday is the Marine Corps birthday.
Yes, it is.
250 years. It's going to be, I've been seeing a lot of stuff. There's going to be a lot of big birthday balls and ceremonies and celebrations for that this year. And we've got other plans, so unfortunately I'm not making it to anybody, but that's a big thing I want to make sure to throw out there. And Semper Fi, and happy birthday to all my brothers and sisters.
Yep. Target 10% off. Tractor Supply 10% off. Walgreens 20% off. There's
right, Jesse. Yeah, I think we lose out. We don't need to go to that haircut place. I don't think they're going to give us that.
Well, I mean, if they shave your head, it'd be nice to have some woman shave my head. Terry won't do it.
Oh, my wife does it for me, so I can't say anything there.
Go check them out, guys, at military.com. All right. Let me get rid of that one and get back up here. So, when did you serve over in Iraq?
I was over there in early 2003. It was funny. I was actually just looking at my DD-214 the other day, because I was like, ooh, I need to take that into the VFW. I think I went over in January and we left. They pulled us out like the end of May. In 2003, and it was literally, we were there being part of tanks. We were one of the last crew to come in, and the first ones they pulled out, because we're so dumb expensive to run.
Right.
Did the push to Baghdad, and they actually didn't even let us drive back. They came up and they got the big Het trucks.
Yeah.
and trailered us back.
So yeah, you were there. I was there 90 when part of 91. And then we came back. Well, we were supporting 2nd Armored Division, and the brigade that they held back, I was in, which was 2nd Brigade. And we stayed back, and they moved us to a place called Doha.
Yep.
And when we got to Doha, they have all these buildings, and all these buildings were grain warehouses. And we had the engineers, heavy equipment guys. They have these big barn doors that open up. And when you go in there, right at the door, they have these big, thick wooden beams stacked up in like between 2 I-beams. And they would bring wheat in there and stuff, and they would store it in these warehouses, and then they'd build ramps. They'd fill it up, and that's where they stored their grain over there. And we had to get all those emptied. They built something somewhere. I can't remember where they trucked it off to, but they trucked all that wheat out of there. We had to clean it up, dude. There was big freaking rats. Okay, big freaking rats. That's a lot of grain. And they got all that out of there. We had to clean out all the buildings, and then I think it was Saudi Arabia paid for these gigantic air conditioners and stands. They're big metal stands that the engineers welded together. They set these gigantic air conditioners on these, and so each building was air conditioned. We had to put all that stuff together. We had to build motor pools. We built a DFAC. We had to clear out one warehouse with Brown and Root to put a PX in there. They put a picnic area over on one side. They brought something in. They called it the Wolf Stand, and they sold wolf burgers. The meat looked gray. It didn't look like beef. I don't know what kind of meat it was, but we set up and we built. The engineers, they built all these picnic tables out of lumber and stuff like that. And we built headquarters. They strapped antennas on stuff and all kinds of stuff. So we repaired the brick wall around it. And then when we were done with that, we went home, and it took us about 2 months to get that done. And then we redeployed. And then I turned around in, when was it? That was from the end of January, February, March. So the 1st of April, I went back. They let us go. We redeployed back there. And then in May, I was with 11th ACR, but I was detailed out to a chemical company because I was Fox certified, and which is a chemical biological vehicle. And then I went back for 1 month, and 11th ACR deployed down there to do the first no-fly, set up base camps out there all over the place in the desert, and went back over there. And we did a 6-month rotation on that one. So I was back a month, went right back for 6 more months. Then we came back, and then we went back again. I want to say we went back in 93, but it was only our air cav. And I went down as flight operations specialist for that to keep track of all the birds and stuff like that when they went out on missions and stuff. So, and then we came back from that, and that was another 6-month rotation. And then we came back, and then 95, the day before Christmas, my battalion deployed with 1st Armored Division to Bosnia. We stayed a whole year in Bosnia after that. We left in December. We left in December. We left December 24th. We came back on, December 24th. We left, and then we came back on December 16th. So just shy of 1 full year. So
and that was the crazy part that
you got credit for a short tour, and you could actually PCS out of the unit. So they brought you back just prior to that, so you couldn't put in for a transfer and stuff like that. Because 1st Armored Division, we deployed a lot. Whew, God, we deployed a lot when I was over there. But yeah, and then I think we got back from that. Then, in between Bosnia and that, we deployed to Turkey to feed the Kurds, because Saddam was gassing all the Kurds right after the Gulf War, and they were going up into the Turkish mountains, and there was like 1 million plus people up in the mountains, just living with whatever they carried on their back, and we had to feed all those guys. So the air assault school that was in Fulda, Germany, we went down there and we slung load food all day long. It was crazy how many starving people there was up there. And but yeah, that's another whole show, that nightmare. That was a nightmare.
And we dealt with a little bit of that in 03. Going back, because I mean, you guys were over there for the Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and and then they're really, I mean, like I think the Army did a lot more of kind of sustainment operations and doing stuff that was over there that whole time. But then Marine Corps wise, we'd go out on some news and stuff like that. But when they shipped us over, in 2003 to actually push up into Baghdad. That was the big shocker, was as we're road marching up there, and of course you're running, right down Highway 1, on the hardball, and we got quite a few engagements here and there, but then they would post us up kind of out in the middle of nowhere for kind of our, hey, let's do maintenance, let's reconcile everything, let the fuel trucks catch up with us and stuff like that. And all of a sudden you'd see this little dot way off in the distance, as far as you could see, and that dot kept getting bigger. And I mean, they were coming in the droves, just because they knew, hey, well, let's find the Americans. They're gonna give us food, we're gonna feed them well. And it was just crazy how many had gave up. But they all knew they weren't getting food elsewhere. Even the fighters, they got dropped off with, maybe a day or 2 days worth of food. And when they were there for a week to 2 weeks holding that position, they didn't get resupplied.
Yeah.
So definitely was a wild experience going over. Like I'm not old enough to be over there when it was Desert Storm and stuff, but like my uncle come back and had talked about some of the experience of being over there and what they were doing, and so it made you a little nervous even in 03, because you heard all the stories, and of course our leadership were Desert Storm veterans coming out. They served over there and did that, so they're like, hey, we're going back to the sandbox, this is what we're going to expect. And but it was, as I understood it and as I had been told, was the guys that had went there and then they went back for Iraq, and afterwards they're like, yeah, no, it was way different. A lot of infrastructure. I know, like you had said, and Denise had said she'd been at Doha. I knew of Doha, never had a chance to go up there.
Right.
But I think the time that I was over there, they had a Burger King on Doha. And I remember one of our supply guys actually had to go do a big supply run to Doha. We were out in this little fob stuck out in the middle of nowhere. And so he took orders from everybody and brought, I mean, he had this huge box of all these just, hey, Whoppers. Like, if you don't need it, you don't need it, but whatever, here it all is. But heck, the ride to get to us was like an hour one way. And we didn't even care it was cold. I mean, it's by far the worst Whopper I'd ever had in my life. But in that moment, it was tasting amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that after we left, they brought in, I don't know what company it was, but I heard that they brought in satellites to set up phone banks so you could call back home when in Doha. When you're down there pulling like a no-fly mission or whatever you have to do, that they had brought those in. I do remember I had told a story about when they had brought those artillery. They came in off the line and they were washing vehicles, and the ammo haulers. I guess they called. I heard them call them turtles because they look like a turtle, like a shell of a turtle, and they supply all the ammo for the gun, and then they will back up to like the 109s, and so they can shovel ammo and powder bags and all that stuff into the howitzer. Well, I told the story about them on the wash rack. They had an electrical fire, and one of those turtles on the half shell caught on fire because, with all track vehicles, you build up fuel, you get fuel and you get oil underneath the floorboards. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it caught on fire and it started burning on the wash rack. And the thing just started exploding, rounds freaking everywhere. We lost, I think, 2 helicopters with direct hits that came out of that thing. Killed the guys that were there. 2 of the guys. The third guy, how he made it out alive, I have no idea. I'm sure he gets I can't hear VA compensation. But when that happened, there was some unexploded ordnance that was all over the place. And some of those rounds had those magnetic anti-personnel mines. When you launch them, they'll burst at a certain distance from the ground, and then all these anti-personnel mines will scatter, and they'll set and they block it off so troops can't flank them and stuff like that.
Right.
And so they were everywhere, and the engineers were going out there with this. It's a type of like paraphernalia wax. Is that what they call it?
Paraffin wax.
Yeah, and they made these long wooden poles. Or they got them somewhere, and then on the end they made a wooden cup, right? And it was like freaking 100-mile-an-hour taped, and they would pour this paraffin in there, and where they seen a landmine, because they were all over that side of the base. They were everywhere.
Wow.
And again, you still had the Mikliks that was close by, and they were all over the place. And so these engineers, these poor bastards, they would get that, the guy would pour it, and they would scoot it out, these 2 guys, and then they would pour it on the landmine or the anti-personnel mine, and they would do that, and then they would pick them up and throw them in a bucket because they wouldn't go off after that, right? I'm not saying going, holy crap. But it worked. And so they were doing that. And then we had the EOD come in, and they were over there clearing where all the vehicles and stuff like that they were hitting, because they hit other howitzers and all kinds of stuff. So they were over there getting those unexploded ordnances and moving them. And they would put them on these, again, the engineers made these wooden racks in these trailers, and they would set these 109 rounds or whatever they were in there, and then they would take them over to a dumping pit that was outside the wall. And I knew a guy that was on duty, and from his tower in Doha, he had his binoculars, and he was watching them unload the trailers. And there was 2 guys in the pit at any one time, and they were moving some stuff, and the one dude dropped his end. He said those guys were standing there and then they were gone.
Mm.
And they had to bring out forensic people to find the meat.
Right.
And they had it all closed off, and they were out there for I don't know how long, picking up parts and stuff like that. And that rocked a lot of people. And then, of course, Army Safety Center from Fort Rucker, Alabama came out, and they did an investigation and all that. I mean, I don't know how they can figure this stuff out, but they do, because there was nothing left of that ammo hauler. There was nothing left. And they said it was an electrical fire. How they know that, I don't know. Because when I looked over there, because our airfield was right across the street from the wash rack.
Mm.
And all I seen was concrete, a hole, and that was it. And there was armored vehicle parts as far as you could see. They were all the way over on the admin side. And that was crazy. And we were right across the street when it happened, and we went over to the wall. We jumped the wall. And when we got on the other side, pieces of metal was falling all around us. And how we didn't get hit by big old chunks of metal, I have no idea. Because God loves cowboys and fools and alcoholics. Because
right.
Many of them. I must have fell into that freaking category or whatever. But yeah. And the only fear I had was those Mick legs. In fact, they found 4 anti-personnel mines sitting on top of the Mick boxes.
Gosh, yeah, that would make a huge hole.
That would pucker up your 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, in that
was insane.
I remember some of the vehicle cook-offs, because like the way our convoys would work is the tanks were in the lead, and then us in the Humvees and stuff. And of course, it was all soft skin Humvees. We didn't have armored stuff then. We followed a certain distance behind, and then you had the next, column, and we just kept moving along as a convoy. So they would engage and they would hit all these, armor vehicles, and they're whether they were APCs or, different military vehicles full of all this ammo. And the hard part for us in the rear convoys was, we didn't get to see the vehicle hit. So, of course, guys are coming up. It's the first time you're seeing it. There's a vehicle on fire. Well, all of a sudden you start hearing zing, zing, zoom, zing.
Yeah.
And it's all the rounds cooking off in there. And they're wanting to stop. We're getting on the radio, like, stopping by the vehicle. You need to go around and you need to floor it going by it. Do not stop. Don't take pictures. Don't, it just, some people's brains don't kick in when they're like, oh, that thing's sending fireworks everywhere. Let me take pictures. Right. They're not fireworks. They're bullets. Get moving.
Right.
And yeah, so that was like the hard part being in that soft, doing those convoys and those soft ones was the amount of ammo they had in those vehicles when they started cooking off, and you had no safe direction. You just kind of got to be like, well, it's gonna miss me, especially the shrapnel. You're just like, nah, maybe it'll hit me, maybe it won't. Make sure you keep your Kevlar
Yeah.
on.
Now, I do remember going out to the gunnery range that they had out there. And of course, artillery guys, anytime they can cook off rounds, it's making their day. And they were firing some Willie P rounds, white phosphorus. Um, and we were sitting there. They had a staging area where you could park your Humvees, and I'd gone out there with our commander because they were going to have a command and staff out there also. So we drove all the way out there and we were watching it. And I don't know because I'm not the brain on artillery. I wish Glenn was in here, but for some reason something happened and a Willie P round didn't make it out of the tube. And I sat there and watched the barrel just melt.
Yeah.
The Willie P was burning off inside the tube.
Oof.
And it was the barrel went down and then it was like a volcano and it was just melting that barrel. It was just dripping down. And I mean, guys, I'm gonna tell you something. Those boys in that 109, they opened that back hatch and they were running for. I never seen dudes run that damn fast. Okay? I mean, somebody had to stop them or else they'd have ran all the way back to Doha. But man, I said, "Holy crap!" And then later on they because you got to bury that stuff because you got to get the oxygen out of Willie P for it to, I guess, settle down or whatever. But they brought that tank in there, and I walked over there, and that metal that melted was just melted onto the main frame of that 109. It was freaky, and so
At that point, it basically is, and it's probably even hotter than lava. You're melting all that steel, and those howitzer. I mean, they're what, an inch and a half thick barrels on them. Like all the way around. It's not like, oh, you're burning up a real thin. No, they're thick.
Yeah. And somebody told me that they didn't have enough powder bags, the right sequence of powder bags, or something happened. I don't know, but I do remember watching that and just seeing how hot that. I never even. I've heard of Willie P. I know they used it in Vietnam because they shot it out there and they burned down jungles and all that kind of stuff. And they used the same stuff when they come in, and you see it in movies where they drop the bomb and it opens up and it just starts sliding across the ground, burning that Willie P and burning down jungle and all kinds of stuff. But that's some devilish stuff. That stuff, guys. Woo! That was insane.
Yeah. They fired those a lot even when we were over there because they would do like certain parts. I remember when we were doing the crossing the LD line of departure, going from Kuwait into Iraq, and going up. Of course, all of our operations were at night. And for those of you who don't know, when you have NVGs on, guess what? You have no depth perception.
Yeah. Oh, none.
None. And yeah, so now, of course, we had to do a lot of training for it, and for that mission, for that deployment, I was a Humvee driver. So I'm driving the whole time, and all you could do was they had those little IR lights that they put, the flashing ones they taped on the antennas. And that was the only way, which come to find out that was the best way to move in that desert environment was at night, because during the day, the dust clouds kicked up so bad, you couldn't follow the vehicle. They would end up having so many accidents because you're rolling along, of course the convoy, it's slinkying, right? Like guys are
Yeah.
But you lose sight of it, and then so you're rushing to catch up to them, and well, they're stopped, and you don't know it because they're in a dust cloud,
Yeah.
and they were running in. So it was more safe to run at night with those IRs and using your MVGs because then the dust didn't affect it. It could
Yeah.
still see through. But I remember there was at one point I think we were all going to the choke point for the actual cross, because they'd went in and cleared a whole section of the berm and everything, because there was a straight long berm down through there. And I looked around because we were kind of at an at a halt. We were just sitting there waiting, for everyone to start moving again. And you look around and it's just all these IRs. I mean, thousands of them. I was like, I could only imagine from the air what that looked like. You'd probably be looking at New York City lights,
Yeah.
with the IR flashing. But yeah, it was crazy to see. And then that's when I found out they had the IR lasers, or the lasers on the rifles, and then you could see that through the MVGs. So everyone was out doing like Star Wars and using the lasers off their rifles to play long distance Star Wars in the sky.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's kind of weird. I mean, if you remember, there's sometimes in the desert over in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, all that area over there, when a full moon is shining in the desert, it's like freaking daytime.
oh yeah.
It's like you're going, holy crap! This is not the time to sneak up on anybody. But we would be out there. I mean, I remember when we LD'd from King Khalid military city, where all the multinational force, we were lined up for miles. You're talking 500,000 people plus from every country that was over there. We were right next to the Syrians that were there. And it was weird, and we'd been out there. They let you go out to a certain point that was on your access that you were supposed to stay on, and then all of a sudden, because I got there in the end of August, we were some of the first people on the ground, and we were over there, and it was kind of strange that I didn't know that the Army had dozers as big as I saw get trucked in there. It was the 57 heavy junk engineers out of Fort Carson, Colorado. And I have never seen a dozer this big. I mean, I've seen big dozers that are in like open pit mines and stuff like that. They're freaking huge.
Right.
If you can just imagine, I don't know what the nomenclature was on these big blades, but if you could just imagine in your head those big Tonka trucks that they use in those open pit mines, that's how big these dozers were. And wow, they had those gigantic blades. When they put those blades down, you could get easily 3 tank vehicles in that blade's path. And they lined those blades up because when you're going across the desert, you have all these, what's the word I want to say? Like little ravines everywhere.
All the little ditches and waddies.
Yeah, ditches and waddies. And these blades were pushing, and they were making a freaking highway to the LD point. And then they came out, and we had to give up a bunch of vehicles, some 5 tons, and they were painting all these barrels. And like we were on access white, and they painted all the barrels white, and that's what we had to stay in between.
Mm.
And the next one might have been blue, you know. So on this side, half the barrel was blue and half of it was white. And then in between there, they dropped white barrels until you got to the far one, which was, I think, red on the other side. And that was a half barrel painted white and red. So you knew you were inside your access. And dude, when they took off, dude, you couldn't keep up with them tanks in a wheeled vehicle going across that because the dust, dude, I couldn't see my hand, you know, and you had those green with the foam so the dust didn't get inside that shit don't work either.
No, those were horrible.
And when you were done, you know, you talk about, you know, you wake up in the morning and you got the Sandman in your eyes. Dude, I had the whole village in my freaking eyeballs. They were just bloodshot. And then the dust boogies, dude, that was like concrete up in my nose holes. And I couldn't breathe. I'm trying to breathe through my mouth. I've got a bandana around my mouth. I keep, you know, getting my canteen and throwing water on my thing just to filter out the dust so you don't, because it's so fine.
You know, it's like, well, yeah, and once they disturb it, that was the thing that we had. I remember it a little bit in Iraq was a thing, but it was more like when we were in Afghanistan, and they started making designated roads and routes. Was every time they came to grade it, it went from that gritty sand to a baby powder.
Yeah.
It was like baby powder sand, and the more that people drove on it, we actually ended up refitted the tanks with they have fording kits on them so that they can go in deeper water. Well, part of that fording kit is an elbow that goes on the exhaust so that it doesn't blow backwards, it blows up.
Right.
And yeah, we went through on all of our tanks and actually put those fording exhaust elbows on so that it wasn't blowing so much. I mean, the track still stirred up a lot of dust, but when you stirred it up and then the exhaust is blowing it at you at jet engine heat, made it even worse. So we put all them elbows on there so it blew the exhaust up, and then the wind, you know, would typically be blowing across, so it would try to pull some of the dust. But yeah, you couldn't stay right up on their ass because you would just, it was. I think I still for months after coming home was blowing the stuff out of my sinus cavities.
Yeah.
And even trying to take like, I think, well, we didn't have them in Iraq, but in Afghanistan, we had got some of those, you know, the scarves. Well, they'll use them as a turban and stuff, but they were the big scarves, and we tied them around, and then, yeah, like you said, poured water on it to help filter some of it out, because even the air you were breathing was gritty. Like, it was in your teeth. Everything you ate, anytime your teeth touched, it was like grit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no doubt. But it was insane because we got over there and we were in Germany and we thought, you know, 90 degrees was hot. Okay. We got down there to the Middle East and we got off that plane, and I'm from Phoenix, right? And it gets hot in Phoenix, 110, 115. But dude, there were 130-degree days down there.
Yeah.
I remember walking down to the MKT mobile kitchen trailer and getting my food, and, you know, like whenever in the afternoon we'd go down there in the breakfast meal, you got breakfast and you picked up an MRE. Lunch was always a frickin' MRE. And then you would go down there, but they had this old bathtub, and they had bottled water in there, and then they had this foam covered lid that they put over the top of it, and the whole bathtub around it was that, you know, that spray foam.
Oh, yeah.
insulation around that thing. And you'd get your water out of there and you put it in your pocket. I grabbed two, put them in both pockets, and I would have to walk. I would walk to where our vehicles was from the MKT, probably the length of a football field. When I took those waters out of my pocket, they were hot. That's what 130 degrees does. That's how hot it was.
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of us that part of the gear list, right, was this like rescue whistle thing. And it had a compass in it and it had a thermometer on it, and then it was a whistle, right? So we carried those, and then there was some other guys that brought, just like mini thermometers out of curiosity. They'd actually popped the mercury on it. It blew the dang thermometers apart. It got so hot they couldn't, it wouldn't register anymore. And that was what, January to May. So I'm like, I could only imagine you're there, June, July, or August or something, with that heat. And I don't remember who it was. Somebody had showed us the trick. They're like, hey, you know how to cool your water off, because you don't have refrigeration. And that water's sitting out in the sun on a pallet all day long, so you're grabbing it. Well, then one of the guys was like, no, this is the trick. Get one of your socks, put a bottle of water in it, and then take some water from another one and tie that sock off on your mirror frame of your Humvee, right? Yeah. Pour water down it. That was, I don't know how much it cooled it down, but it was enough that, because that water, just throw your tea bag in it. You could have made tea or coffee from the bottle. So it cooled it down enough that you could feel a little bit quenched. But I'm like, hey, I guess, and I seen a couple guys doing it, and I'm like, that can't work. And they're like, dude, check this. Oh, yeah, we had like multiple socks. We were like jingle trucks with socks with water bottles hanging everywhere because you wanted to get something cold. There was nowhere else to get it from.
See, Denise put that statement up there, and she's absolutely right. I remember, especially on my back, you would sweat. The salt would it was drawing the salt out of your body and into your uniform. And it was like wearing sandpaper on your back. And I don't know how many uniforms I went through because, we had to hand wash our uniforms out there.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake. I took it off and I put another uniform on and I threw it in the vehicle. And that son of a bitch, it hardened up. And I went back and I was trying to get the salt off my uniform, and I tore through my summer uniform, and it has that strong thread stuff. So it's a non-rip, but that salt ate the cloth on my freaking uniform.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was. I mean, it was bad. And after a while, I said, screw it. I was wearing uniforms that had tear marks in it where you had to break it up just to put it on, and then finally, and you didn't waste water. We didn't waste water. Then all of a sudden a water truck came. We'd be out there, getting water off that thing, taking ammo cans and washing our uniforms. We'd put them in there with the water and then let them set and then try to wash that salt out of that stuff.
Yeah,
it was bad. They
had the NBC air filters.
Yeah,
and they were, probably this big around, right, for in the tanks and stuff. And it was about that tall or so, and you open it, kind of like a can of tuna on the top. It's got a little pull handle. Well, then you've got a bucket.
Yeah.
So we actually, we had our welders get a couple extra exhaust grills, because we had put those elbows on the back of the tank. And so we filled those up with water, set it up there, had them fire the tank up. And I mean, the jet engine temperature, coming out of there. It didn't take long. And then you had hot water, and then we could get our clothes, because that was the best way that we were able to do it. Was we found if you could heat the water up, you're in the middle of the desert. It's not like you can build a fire. Yeah. But then we realized, wait a minute, if we put one of these grates over the top of this thing, Of course, then that's way we were putting canteen cups up there. That's how you can, get your coffee and stuff first thing in the morning. But yeah, warmed them up, and then you just had to let them, once you crinkled them enough, it was like crinkling up a sheet of paper, and then get it in there, and it would get flexible. Um, oh yeah, they're going back and forth. It was you could take your uniforms off after a couple missions, and they would just stand up on their own. Once they dried, like we would get guys that they would lay it out perfect because they're like, watch this, and then yeah, sure enough, they could get it, and then they just pull the leg pieces out a little bit and stand it up there, and their trousers are just standing there on their own.
Well, I know I can speak for a man that the places where the salt stains were the worst was your pits, right? I don't know how I got that. I guess I went like that. Your pits and your crotch.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. I had salty nads, man, and you had to wash that every day.
Well,
Every day.
Denise brought that up. Said not sure why all the male uniforms pants crotches would rip all the time. And yeah, because that was one of the hottest. I mean, naturally, that's one of the hottest spots on a man, anyways, right? Yeah. Your armpits and your balls, and your crotch. So, and then you got to think, come into that crotch spot, right? You're walking, so I mean, it's constant friction in there.
Yeah.
And once those salt stains and you get the sand and everything in there, oh yeah, we had it all the time. That was like the worst spot.
Yeah.
That would rip out. And our saving grace, our Marine Corps PT uniform, our shorts were the silk shorts, the silky ones. And we found out really early on to not even take cotton briefs, your boxer briefs, nothing like that. You just wore silkies. They became your new boxers because they would dry faster and you didn't get as bad a friction because, oh gosh, the powder parties when we, at night when you get undressed and everyone's got their ankles aimed to the sky and you're just dousing it on and it's like, hey, you done with that powder? Cool. And you're handing it to the guy next to you and, you couldn't get enough.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Philip, we didn't LD and move into Iraq until January. It was, I mean, these guys, these leaders had us doing all kinds of stupid stuff. We were running PT. We had to get up and we ran at like 4:00 in the morning during the summertime because it gets so hot. And then running with your gas mask on. I mean, I was just like people were having freaking heart attacks with that shit.
Yeah.
But and there was no time in Iraq did we ever, because of combat or anything like that anybody had to run with a gas mask on, right? And when the Scuds came in, when they started shooting off the Scud missiles, I mean, where are you going to run to? You're not going to run outside the wire, but I'll tell you what, they got pretty damn proficient on throwing on a gas mask. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And that was the horrible part because, obviously, everything that happened during Desert Storm, Desert Shield. So they prepped us and it was a constant train. And, they would send the alarms like before we actually had left the main base. They'd sound the alarm and we're all out in our GP tents, in the cots trying to just not be in the sun. And they'd sound the alarm. So you got to get up, throw your mask on, right? Hey, everybody all clear. We're good. And then you're waiting for the all clear.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was hours.
Yeah.
And like I found out, because you got the filter on the one side and that's your intake, that little spot. And I must have fell back asleep or whatever, just laying there. And my the poncho liner, the blanket, had covered that hole up. And I tell you what, you wake up real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have that on. But I mean,
I laugh because I've done it.
Oh yeah, like it's like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Uh, but then you're sitting around and you're playing spades or bones or something, and hey, all right, grabbed your mask, threw it on, and just kept the game going because we're like this is such a drill we got to keep doing all the time.
But I'll tell you that in like you said, December, January, and stuff like that, it got freaking cold in the desert. I mean, and here's the reason. I mean, I was freezing to death because when we deployed, there was no thought because it was August to bring any of your winter gear. None at all. Dude, if it wasn't for that wool with the US stamp on it, blanket, I'd have froze to death. That scratchy ass piece of blanket, I'm going to tell you something. I mean, I seen guys go over to the engineers. They had these, the staple guns you use to put wire up or whatever. And they were cutting up the blankets and lining the inside of their uniform or their rain jacket with that scratchy ass wool blanket. They were cutting it up. I mean, soldiers, the military guys become very creative in survival mode.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. I've never been so cold. There was no snow, no nothing. But how cold, and I'm from Arizona, and I don't remember it ever getting this cold in Arizona. But over there, dude, I was freezing my butt off. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? You mentioned that.
We only had those summer freaking chocolate chip uniforms.
Yeah, and I do remember now that you say something about it being cold when we first got there, because we had stayed. They didn't even have the big GP tents up yet. Like we stayed at, what did they call it? I think Camp Fox or something. But it wasn't even built yet. So when we showed up to get out there, it was just desert, and they're like, "Hey, here's your perimeter," and we stayed in 2-man tents. And that was the saving grace, was at least you had the body heat from the other dude, the guy next to you. Because I don't think we took like our entire triple system for the sleeping bags. We just had the one bag,
Yeah.
Trying to pack light and go. And yeah, it was like, and then of course it was like, well, I'm glad that they told me to bring that Gore-Tex and stuff for, just because, we're like, we're going to the desert. We don't need all this stuff. But, oh, yeah, no, that sun went down and it dropped out.
Yeah, that word right there, boob rot. I'm going to tell you something. I was sitting in a command and staff, and the medical person, they would give a report of, how many people came into military sick call, and he was reading it off. We had an ankle sprain. We had two, one guy blow out his knee. He goes, and we had three cases of, and he said something, and the colonel looks at him and goes, "What the hell is that?" He goes, "Boob rot." And he goes, "What?" He goes, "Boob rot." He goes, "Sir, it's so hot out there." Okay. He goes, "It is so freaking hot. And these soldiers are wearing the sports bras out there." And he goes, "It smashes them down. And underneath there, they just break out in a rash underneath. Because that's probably the hottest part right there."
Right.
And it goes from sweating, the salt, and it's just running, And I was going, I've heard of crotch rot or swamp ass, but I never heard of boob rot. And it's absolutely true. Yeah. Going, holy crap.
Yeah. Well, and especially when you're out there and you're operating your mission, the last thing that anybody, cares about command wise, right? You got a mission. Showers and hygiene are not, yeah.
She's talking from experience, guys.
You didn't have the choice of showering. until the main mission was done and you could go back to a larger. Poor Paul, yeah, he suffers from both now.
He's
You were
got man
just stuck wearing
boobs.
what you had.
He got man boobs. He's raw in both areas. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Ugh. All right, Scott, thanks for coming in. He said he's jumping off, so appreciate you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you that's not a sexy smell.
But there was a benefit to all that sand and dust being crammed is we didn't smell each other. Had somebody been clean and come out, I'm sure they would have been gagging walking by anybody that was out there. But
yeah. Well,
when
see, when you're in a vehicle with a couple of smelly ass troops, after a while you don't smell it no more. But I'm going to tell you something. You knew when someone took a shower or something.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. That soap smell, it carries for miles. It's kind of like when you open up a thing of peanut butter out of a ration. Okay, and you can smell it. A friend of mine that went through Ranger School, he said a guy. He goes, because it's 72 days and 72 meals. That's it. And they'd give you an MRE and you had to make that MRE last all day long. Right. And it'd be the middle of the night and somebody would, when you're supposed to get your 1 hour sleep or whatever, would break open the crackers or the peanut butter and sit there and just eat it out of the tube. Man, he said everybody woke up. Because you're so freaking hungry.
Yeah.
The same thing when someone took a shower, you go, what the heck? You can smell it. It carries. So, and they weren't deer hunting. So, they were out in the middle of the freaking desert.
Right.
Let's see.
And I think that was the hardest part. That first trip I took to Afghanistan was
really snowed. Wow.
Oh, snowed in Mosul. Oh, really? Yeah, I don't know that I don't think I seen any snow or anything while I was over there. I remember the first part of it being because we stayed in the 2-man tents and stuff, and then we did the push to Baghdad, and by the time we came back, they had all the big GP tents set up with AC, and there was shower tents and all that kind of stuff. And we're just like, and by then we were dying. Like that temperature went from being cold to hot in no time.
Oh man.
Always good. And I see Black Wolf coming in, says we didn't smell each other because the country smelled like ass. Yeah.
I never seen, when you go by buildings and it looks like they're made out of like adobe, like mud.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of it is a brand new York air conditioning unit. Like what the I go.
Well, and when you got into those remote areas and villages, they were like, how they didn't electrocute themselves.
Yeah.
The rudimentary wiring.
There's open wires everywhere.
Yeah, all over the place. And it's coming into the house right next to the thatch roof.
And we are thankful that they survived.
Yeah, that was kind of a big shocker too, was just seeing, because and everything they did over there ran off like 220. So you're like, man, you're really pushing voltage through, and you got bare wires just hung together with bubble gum and a prayer.
Oh, wow.
Oof. Right?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. I've been in a track vehicle freezing my butt off, and me and my buddies, wool blanket, poncho on top of us, and we weren't proud. We just got together and we laid on top of duffel bags, and that's how we stayed warm at night. Because I've been in some cold weather. I was
Yeah.
on a winter. It's called was it Wintex? It's a exercise that they do up in. It's called Hell Norway. HELL, Hell Norway, and you go up there for winter training. And that's right there where the Arctic Circle line comes across. And I'd never been so cold in my damn life. That was the first time I ever wore Mickey Mouse boots. They gave us Mickey Mouse boots, and it has an air port on the side,
Right.
and they fill it up full of air, and that heats up. I was walking around in water inside my boot, and when then I found out later, because I didn't know nothing about them. Then we sat down in the class, and they said if your feet start sweating, you need to release air out of your Mickey Mouse boots. I said, well, shit, it's too late now. I tell you, he goes, that's how you get foot rot, because it was, and I took it off. My foot looked like a wrinkly ass prune,
Right.
And I went back to my Matterhorns. I said, screw it, I'll take a little sting, but those Mickey, it had to be a lot colder for them to actually work properly. So, yeah, and then that's where I learned to I put on the old wool glove inserts.
Yep.
You put on the wool glove inserts, and then on top of that, you get yourself a larger pair of mop gloves, the rubber mop gloves.
Okay.
And your hands will stay freaking warm. I learned it up in Hell Norway.
Huh.
An old guy was telling me he was up there, and I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm looking for my mop gloves, man." And he showed me that, and he pulled out. He wasn't a big dude, but he had his wools. He had his mop gloves, and then he had an extra large set of the leather gloves itself, and he put that on there, strapped it in, and he goes, "My hands are sweating inside these things." Wow. Food for thought.
I normally did pretty good with just doing the wool inserts and the black leather gloves, cinch them down. And there'd be a lot of times I didn't do a lot of cold training. Nothing like that up in Norway. It was just kind of like, hey, we happened to be out in the field and it was cold. Oh gosh, yeah. The conversation back with Paul is definitely entertaining. What was that?
I lost a lot of weight both times. First trip was the lack of food, and the second trip was access to a gym. Yeah.
But yeah, there was a couple times I thought they were gonna send us up, because I guess back in the day before I came around, they would go up and do some winter training in the tanks. I think they shipped them up to New York or something. They went up further from us where they'd actually get snow, and used to do a winter op.
Oh, up by Fort Drum.
I want to say it was Fort Drum up there.
Yeah.
And they would go do like tank gunnery and do some tank training and stuff, but we never actually did that. So, it sounded like it was a miserable time. So I wasn't mad that we missed out on it. Yeah, the higher vehicles definitely would run into the wire issues.
Yeah.
Um, I know Dawn was talking about well, put a maxi pad in your sock. I don't know. We had found when we started getting those issues was we just put our socks on inside out. Um, and it
Yeah.
helped quite a bit.
Yeah. ADAC's cold, man. I mean, I've seen pictures. A guy showed me pictures of ADAC where the waves come in, and then after a while, where it freezes on the rock, it builds up and it looks like a permanent wave, but it's all ice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. -70.
Yeah, no thanks. My one cousin actually, when he first got in the army, um, it was funny that he had gotten married and he was supposed to stay.
No, Angie. I can honestly say I never had a sock hop.
Yeah, no. But yeah, they sent him to Germany. He didn't have anywhere for him, and then he ended up getting sent back to the States. And he ended up he got a company tour with his wife to Alaska. And I'm like, oh, how's that going? And he goes, well, really, as long as you're wearing the right gear, uh, it's great. And I think he spent 3 years up there and loved it. He's like, I
Yeah,
don't even want to go because he got orders to go. And of course, I'm like, the Army would do that. They're going to take the soldier from Alaska for being in there for 3 years and then send him to Fort Hood. I was like, oh, that's got to be fun.
it's funny. Sometimes I forget a lot of stories and experiences until I get around vets and we start talking about all, and it all comes back. I don't really talk about my military days with regular people. Yeah, I don't either. It's something about being around other military people that just somehow
Yeah.
the floodgates just come open and you can just that is why when Jason and I talked about creating Sergeant's Talk TV, that is what we wanted. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of people that come up and people are still closed off and stuff like that. We wish they would, but it's easier for them to keyboard warrior into the chat, and that's great. If it gives them one step closer to opening up about certain things, that's why we wanted to do that. We wanted to do it for me and him. I mean, we both have PTSD, and talking about it, for I can say for me, relieves me of thoughts and experiences and stuff like that. But that was the whole premise behind this. It really wasn't the premise, like you see a lot of vet channels. They just they'll take a subject and one person will come up with it, and everybody will do the same thing and burn a subject into the hole. We just wanted to we never wanted it to be a video channel, more of a podcast, if you will, or just a live stream channel so people could just open up about feelings. And if it's all about the keyboard, that's fine too. Because
Yeah, exactly. Because it's our free therapy. It's for us to sit down and not have to go talk to somebody that hasn't been there.
yeah,
And I think the funnest part is hearing the stories and finding out, as you talk to more people that, even though we didn't know anybody that was in here the whole time that we served,
yeah,
and then we come in and we find out that, oh yeah, hey, Big Mike and Denise, Ben and Doha at the same time, like me and Anthony, hey, we were in Iraq at the exact same time in different spots, some of the areas coincided, but you get that trigger of remembering where it was at, and that's Tara said it a lot before was, I could go talk to her about anything, but the fact that she wasn't there, she's not going to understand it. And then, kind of like Dawn and Denise were just talking in the comments was, we can't talk about this stuff to somebody that wasn't over there. Not that we're not able to, but we spend more of the conversation explaining, reasonings and tactics and acronyms and all this stuff, as to where when we get around other vets, we already know what they're talking about. So you could just carry on the conversation. There might be some different branch lingo. One branch calls it this, another calls it that, or something like that. But other than that, we all understand the general gist and idea. And it's relieving to be able to get on and give that, just get it off, just talk about it and reminisce and go, hey, yeah, you know what? And I actually kind of forgot until tonight that it was cold when we first got in Iraq in 03. I remember leaving it and it was hot as hell. But that coming in being cold.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you, one of the things I do, I took Terry up to the VA in Muskogee at the hospital. And I was sitting in the waiting room, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, and myself, 5 veterans sitting in the waiting room. And everybody was, off to themselves, or the old men were looking, trying to figure out how to work a cell phone and stuff like that. And I'm one of those guys that said, hey, how you doing? And I shake the guy's hand. Yeah. Hey. I said, hey, what unit were you in second ID? And he told me. I go, oh, no doubt. And then me and him started talking. And I looked across and I seen a guy. He had a fifth ID with the red diamond, which are the Red Devils on the 5th Infantry Division. I said, hey, I was in Devil Troop Brigade at Fort Polk. He goes, what? And so he came into the conversation. And then there was another guy that was in the Navy. He had his Navy hat on, and he started getting into the conversation, and we're sitting there. Nobody was talking to nobody until you make that first contact.
Yeah.
And then the old goats wouldn't shut up, and they were just talking and talking. And it was like you just met 4 new friends at the VA. You may never see them again, but I will guarantee you I won't forget who they were if I ever run into them again.
Right.
And that's one of the things I have. Like Terry, she'll go somewhere and she won't talk to nobody. Me, I'll see somebody. I see a veteran. I go out of my way to go over there and thank them. It's like when we went to the Walmart up at your place, Mountain Home, and there was a guy in front of me, and he had a U.S. Army retired cap on, and I just walked up to him and I go, hey, thank you for your service. He goes, oh, his wife's going, wow, that hardly ever happens. And I go, really? I said, and I told him, I said, Master Sergeant Elmer, and he's going, oh, you were in the Army? And I said, yeah. And he goes, oh my gosh. He goes, it was good meeting you and blah, blah, blah. And we started talking. You were at the register ahead of us over on the other side trying to beat me to get out of there. And those are the things I wish people would do more of. Just go out of your way, to thank a vet. It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't cost anything. But I'm going to tell you something. You see one of those veterans out there, there's a reason why they're wearing a hat, because they're proud of what they did and who they served. You know what I mean? And just go out of your way, thank them. And I'm going to tell you something. You're going to make somebody's day. Just they always say, "Oh, thank you," and it's just. I wore this shirt today to go pick up Terry at the hospital, my Combat Vet Motorcycle Association shirt, and I walked in, and you got to get a band. This is the band right here. They put on there with the room number you're going to visit. And if you don't have one of those in the hospital, they'll stop you. Security will stop you. But she gave me that, and she stood up and shook my hand and said, thank you for your service. I go, wow. I said, you're welcome. And it's just it makes a vet's day, and that's why I say that at the end of every video, after every live stream, and thank a vet, because they deserve it. Okay,
Absolutely.
being part of the 3% that serve our nation, so you can protest, you can say whatever the hell you want, as long as it's not in violence and stuff like that. Those are the benefits you get, and I think that a lot of people don't understand about living in America and the privilege that you have to live here. If you've never lived, deployed, or anything like that to one of these countries, you would appreciate where you live and how well off you are compared to the rest of the world. So just think about that. All these people, all these nut jobs out there protesting every move, everything, and they have no freaking clue. America's racist. America's this. You have no clue what the rest of the world's about.
Yeah.
Because it's, number one, dangerous out there. Number two, you haven't seen hatred, racial hatred, until you go to these countries. Okay, you have no idea what they do to people that don't fall in line with the mainstream. So it's just, and I just sit there and I shake my head. I can't believe people do this because they have no clue what it takes. So they can do this crazy crap that they're doing. But hey, think of that. Always, always, always think of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and with that, guys, it's one of those that we thank all of you for coming in here, because even if you're not a veteran yourself, you're supporting us veterans. You're listening to our stories and let us vent. We could do this privately. We really could. We could have phone calls. We could come up on here, not even publish it. The idea is getting that out there, like Mike's saying, and what he talked about is going up and shake those vets' hands that are wearing a hat, a T-shirt, something. Because a lot of them, right? Think back to when, you look at people and it's like, well, my uncle was in Vietnam or my grandpa was here or whatever. And nobody in the family knows the story. Nobody knows what they did over there and I feel that now. I never understood it for a long time. And I just thought it was them trying to be maybe something they really weren't, right? Or it didn't go the way they wanted. And then we'd actually done it with some of Tara's family. She's got, veterans within the family, and went there, and she's like, I've never heard these stories from my uncle. How did he? And I'm like, we're veterans. Like, we can talk about certain things that we're not going to take the time. Like, and it's not to be offensive. It's just, if I tried to explain what I did to you, I'm going to spend more time explaining everything that I just said. So it's going to take me 3 times longer, as to where if I don't have to explain it all, it's going to make it that much better. And a lot of these guys that you do run into, whether it's in the Walmart or the Piggly Wiggly or the gas station or whatever, they may not have somebody else. So that 5-10 minutes that you might sit there and talk with them, that might do them a whole lot of good.
Yeah.
Just to be able to say, hey, okay, there's somebody that gets me. There's somebody that, they don't have anybody else they can talk to. And it might throw a big relationship if there's somebody in your hometown and you're all of a sudden like, oh, well, hey, we live down the road. Let's go fishing. Let's go do this. Let's, whatever.
Yeah, you can go to VFW and start talking to vets and stuff like that and get it going. And before you know, you go, oh shit, it's midnight. And it doesn't even seem like time had passed. You're just sitting there talking to them. An American Legion, a VFW, all these places. I'm telling you, vets need stuff like that. I told you guys a story about one of my dearest friends in the entire world. Went deer hunting up at his parents' house in Missouri, and we were everybody had gone to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. I was so anxious for. This was the first time I had gone deer hunting in probably 11 years. And his dad was up, and we sit there and talked and stuff. He goes, "Oh, you're in the army." I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I served in World War II." And I go, "What? Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I was in a special ops group." And we just started talking. And then he kept talking to me and talking to me. And I just listened. Some of the most powerful messages you can give is just listen.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept talking. And he was telling me about he went to boot camp he went to infantry boot camp in Fort Benning, Georgia. And they graduated and they lined everybody up. And they said, I want you to, sound off 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, 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 boom. All the ones get on those trucks. All the twos get on those trucks. 3's over here, 4's over there. And he just so happened to be a 2. And when he got on the bus, they went to the airport. They put him on planes. They landed in Canada. And he was part of the group, special operations group, that was Canadians, was Americans, and they were all together, and they trained and they trained and they trained. And he said when they got to North Africa, their first mission, they dropped them into North Africa. And he was in a team of 10. And he said, we had one black feller with us. And he goes, by the time we got out of North Africa, all right, they called them the Black Devils, because these Germans are like going, these guys are nuts. And their whole mission was to infiltrate base camps of the German soldiers. They would set up there, glass them, find out the officers, the tents, all that stuff, and they would go in there at night, not being detected, and they would cut the throats of German officers. Because
Wow.
in the German army, they didn't pass that information down. You just followed orders. Okay? And their job was to kill as many officers to disrupt the chain of command. And that's what he did. When they got done in North Africa, they went over to Sicily, and they went up Sicily in front of Patton and their military doing the same thing, into Italy. And then finally he got all the way up into Germany. And that's all he did while he was in the military. He had a picture where he had stolen a white horse off of a German officer and was riding it. And someone took his picture or something like that. And I'm going to tell you something. When the next day, myself and my buddy, we went hunting, and he goes, I was listening to you and my dad last night. I go, oh. I said, why didn't you come out? He goes, my dad has never talked about his military experience. He goes, what I was listening to, I heard for the first time. He goes, how'd you get him to open up? I said, I just listened to him. I said, he's had some stuff weighing on his brain for a lot of years. And I'm going to tell you something. That right there, what I heard from him, was pure pain that he had to do that to other human beings. But that was the orders he was given. That's the mission he accepted. That was his life for 3.5 years in World War II. So you never know what you're going to hear. And again, sometimes listening is stronger than any kind of medicine out there. For somebody like that, to get that off their chest and out of their brain, and somebody else but them know about that, and when we buried that man, he died a few years later. I thought I lost like a best friend, because every time I seen that man, we had a bond and we knew it. So you never know what's going to happen, guys. You end up with a friend for life, just thanking somebody. So, and with that, I want to thank everybody for coming in. I'm going to tell you something. We love doing this. I'm glad you're here. Share us out, if you will, so we can get to as many veterans as possible. If it's possible, I don't know. But we're here for them. We're here for you. If you have any suggestions on shows you want to hear, please email us. It's in the description. We'd be more than happy to research whatever it is and get back with you in the form of a live stream. So, guys, again, Terry's back. All right. Everything went great. I'm glad she's home. I was, anytime you go in for surgery, you get worried. But this is the first time I've ever been on this side of the surgeries. So now I know what Terry goes through because, it's just, man, you just wait for that call and say everything went great. And I was happy. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, like we said, thanks for coming in, guys. Share this out, get it out to other veterans, talk to them in person and be like, hey, have you heard of this? Get on here and, maybe they'll learn something, or maybe they'll just enjoy the fact that we talk about it. And, whether you want to come in on the comments or you want to come up on panel with us, once we get to once you're comfortable doing that. We would love to have everybody come up and give their story, give their talk, and do their therapy with us.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's all therapy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Very positive and very effective.
So with that, guys, thanks for coming in. Remember, be kind to one another. Help somebody in need. And always think of that. Guys, we love you. God bless you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.
Bye now.